So boring World Series reviews. Haven't made a video in a while. I reviewed the first six World Series, 1903 to 1909. It was hard. They were very good. They don't like do any home runs or anything, and they just steal bases and get hit into fielders' choices of all the time, and then make like more errors than you could ever imagine. That alone might be kind of exciting. I don't know. It's the dead ball era. Kind of sucks. So there's only six World Series. We didn't get started until 1903 when the American League and National League agreed to play with each other, or at least the two teams do. And in 1904, the New York Giants should have played the Boston Americans. Didn't happen. Giants thought they were too good for the American League, and John McGraw became my enemy for life. I'm still pretty sore with the 1904 World Series. I don't like the idea of there not being a World Series. I think that's like canceling Christmas. I think it's really... Don't do that to me, please. Okay, number 6, the bottom one. I think the 1907 World Series. The first of two in a row, the Chicago Cubs beat the Detroit Tigers in 5 games with a tie in the first game. This one's completely one-sided. The whole reason that people are excited about the Tigers, Ty Cobb, is just, he doesn't even show up. He's horrible, and he does nothing. The Tigers just get absolutely ruined on the base paths in all 3 of the World Series they're in. I mean, hats off to their catcher, Boss Schmidt. You'll find to be one of the absolute worst players of the first 6 World Series, the Tigers catcher. 18 stolen bases on the Tigers in these 5 games. Come on, man. First game ends in a tie, maybe on purpose. Once again, Boss Schmidt involved. 2 outs, 2 strikes with runners on base. Bottom of the 9th. Oops, pass ball. Game goes 12 innings. It's too dark. They just don't think to try to finish games later, like maybe write down the score or something. That's not something they know how to do. There was an issue. Apparently the players were going to share the gate receipts from these games for the first time, so some people think that the tie in game 1 was maybe them, maybe they tried to force a tie game on purpose so that the series would go longer. They make more money. That was something that people had suspected. The Tigers proceed to just lose 4 more in pathetic fashion. Cubs pitchers are great in these days. I guess they feel like pitching, but it would be nice if it seemed like the other team had a chance. Well, also the Tigers are my favorite team since I've been little, so this sucks. I like the Cubs though, because I had satellite dish and I could watch WGN back then, so I kind of like the Cubs too. Well, this one had Mordecai Through Finger Brown with his weird hand. It had Tinker, Evers, and Chance before they had a poem written about him. I had Ty Cobb just struggling to do anything and getting beat up by his teammates who are constantly giving him noogies and saying "oh, say what" to him. It's just kind of not a very good series. Number 5, the next one, next lowest on the list, 1908, the very next series. Another 5-gamer, Chicago Cubs, Detroit Tigers. Much more competitive. The Tigers win a game. Ty Cobb is their star player in this one, as he's expected to be. But there's a guy named Orville Overall, which is the stupidest, weirdest, awesomest name I've ever heard. .98 ERA in the series in 18 and 2/3 innings. It's just crazy talk. That's crazy. What's going on with that? Boss Schmidt continues to do awful stuff, allowing 14 stolen bases and just generally being not very good. He made the last out in both series, 07-08, with pop-ups and stuff. This guy just got clowned down hard in these series. The first game was at least crazy in the 08 series. 16 runs, 24 combined hits, back and forth. Tigers up 6-5 in the 9th, and then the Cubs just rally on like a million singles. Tons of fielders' choices with RBIs, tons of errors, all that good dead ball stuff. But then the Cubs are pretty much the Cubs for the rest of the series. Tigers did get a win on Game 3. Ty Cobb was pretty nuts in that game. 4 hits, 2 stolen bases. Game 5's the shortest game in World Series history and also the least attended. People didn't want to go because they thought that there was some ticket scalping situation with Chicago's management. It's like, oh, the Chicago teams being crooked in the early 1900s? That's crazy, man. Tell me about it. Mordecai Brown, 4-hit shutout in Game 4. I mean, Orville Overall, a 3-hit, 10 strikeout shutout in Game 5. This dude is awesome. Mordecai Brown, a 4-hit shutout before that. The Tigers looked silly again. Yeah, 1908, another one, not terribly competitive. Tigers are a little better, but... Okay, number 4, this was a tougher one for me to choose because something pretty amazing happens, but in 1905, 5 games New York Giants over Philadelphia Athletics. First John McGraw, Connie Mack matchup. Connie Mack, one of the weirdest, scariest looking guys to me for some reason. Absolutely fascinated with this dude. This like goes 5 games and it's mostly one-sided. The Athletics put a win together, but it's because of fielding errors and they get unearned runs in the only game they win in the series. Also, they went into a very handicapped with weirdo pitcher Rube Waddell missing the series because he was wrestling with fellow pitcher Andy Coakley. I heard it was like over a straw hat he thought he shouldn't have been wearing after Labor Day or something like that, or maybe his hat was just stupid, or maybe they were just wrestling. Or some people think the gamblers got to Waddell and he hurt himself on purpose, but I don't know, whatever. Their offense would have had to have done something for that to matter. No earned runs, the only series where a team doesn't get any earned runs. Just shutouts and then some unearned runs. Christy Mathewson's incredible in this series. Just an all-time performance, 0.00 ERA, 3 shutouts. Mathewson's performance alone makes me kind of want to rank this higher. I think he's so cool. I think he's a very interesting, cool player and a hero. And yeah, it's not a lot of offense here. I mean, the Giants have a 9-run shutout and kind of run wild on them a couple times, but they all involve a bunch of fielding errors. Their gloves were really little back then. I think this is what all these fielding errors were for. I don't think these guys were that bad at baseball or were just doofuses. I hope they weren't. I think Game 4 is a 1-0 game. Eddie Plank and Joe McGinnity, the two pitchers of A's and Giants respectively. A 1-0 complete game duel. The only run on error. Errors just ruin everything in these series. It's hard for me to put that one at 4 instead of 3 because Christy Mathewson's performance is one of the greatest of all time, but it really just doesn't seem like the Athletics have a chance. So it's hard for me to rank that one too highly. It just wasn't very competitive. Okay, number 3, we're getting into the top half of the order. The first one, 1903, Boston Americans, Pittsburgh Pirates. A best-of-9 series. The Americans win 5-3. The teams agreed to do this. This was before the leagues had agreed to have a World Series of Boston and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh heavily pushed for it. Thank you, Brian Dreyfuss, for wanting there to be a World Series so much. You're my best friend. This one was interesting and sloppy and wild. Pittsburgh got off to a 3-1 lead, and then Boston won the last 4 games in a row, which is kind of wild. The more competitive nature probably puts it above 05, but it was wild. There were just so many errors in this series. I mean, there was 14 by Boston, 19 by Pittsburgh. There was like 6 total in the first game. Not exciting. But if you like pitching the first couple of games, I mean, Deacon Phillippe, 10 strikeouts. The next game, Bill Dineen sets a new record, 11 strikeouts, and that stands for a few years at least. Man, just the pitchers were nuts in this. Big Bill Dineen and Deacon Phillippe and Cy Young just pitching complete games on 1-2 day rest. I don't know how these guys' arms stayed on. The rules in some of these are really silly. 1903 kind of like bothers me. I think this was just in Pittsburgh, but the crowd, it was such an overflow situation that they put like ropes in the outfield instead of walls to hold the crowd in, and decided by the ground rules that would be a triple, and then there were just a ton of ground rule triples in Pittsburgh. It seems like they were not prepared for the crowd they're going to get or something else. It seems absolutely ridiculous, and that would make this a very weird World Series to watch. Coming into it, they knew that Wagner had an injured finger. One of their main pitchers, Sam Lever, hurt his shoulder in a trap shooting competition. Another pitcher, Ed Doheny, went nuts and ended up in an institution, so they were kind of hampered. Everyone likes to talk about how annoying Boston's fans were singing the song Tessie, driving to Pittsburgh and annoying the fans with this hundreds of years ago. And the Dropkick Murphys would annoy me with it like hundreds of years later, so Boston still likes this goofy song. So yeah, best of 9 is kind of too long. That's a lot of games, a lot of sloppy games with a million errors. So this one's like hard to rank too high, but at least it probably provided more excitement than 05, the one that ended up being the next one, just because it wasn't so completely one-sided the whole time. Number 2 on the list, the only all-Chicago series. In 1906, Chicago White Sox, 4 games, Chicago Cubs, 2 games. This is the 3rd World Series, and this one is mostly notable just for the storyline. I don't know how interesting of an upset this one was. The Cubs are highly favored, had the single season win record at 116, were just an absolute powerhouse, amazing pitching, led in most offensive categories, and the White Sox were called the hitless wonders and got by on mostly sacrifice hits and just unbelievable pitching. Cubs were favored by everyone coming into this. They split the first 2 games. Pitching is just all around amazing. We get a 1-hitter in Game 2 by Ed Roebuck from the Cubs. A new striker in Game 3, big Ed Walsh, spitballer, throwing 12 strikeouts and a 2-hit shutout. What was really exciting is the first 4 games, we get a little back and forth. In the last 2 games, the White Sox are known as the hitless wonders, and for some reason they absolutely explode in the last 2 games with 26 hits, and it's just an amazing offensive show. 8-6 in Game 5 and 8-3 in Game 6. The White Sox just come alive. Game 5 is crazy. Second baseman for the White Sox, Frank Isbell, has 4 doubles, which is the extra base record in the World Series until last year with Shohei Ohtani until the last World Series. That stood for a long time. Game 5 was also so heavily attended, they had to do a similar thing to 1903 where there was ropes in the outfield wall because of the overflow crowd, and there were just a number of ground rule doubles in Game 5. This very weird rules. And then 14 hits in Game 6, 8 runs. Just a complete upset and just a complete explosion of offense by a team that was not known for that, while their pitching completely held the Cubs to a manageable amount of runs most of the time there, except for that wild Game 5. So yeah, it's a little more competition, a 6-game series. Also, it's great. It's the Cubs, it's the White Sox, it's all Chicago. Number 1 best World Series of the 1900s, I'd have to say 1909, the last one. It's the only one to goes to 7 games. The Pittsburgh Pirates, 4 games, Detroit Tigers, 3. Tigers' 3rd loss in a row. It was painful. But this one, it's back and forth, Pittsburgh-Detroit, all 7 games. They go back and forth. Going into this excellent storyline, Ty Cobb versus Honus Wagner, everybody's excited to see the best Pirates, this veteran player, the best Tigers, this young guy, controversial guy. Things go mostly the same as the Cubs series for the Tigers. 17 stolen bases, a total of 49 in the 07 to 09 series. Boss Schmidt just getting run on. Oh, man. Boss Schmidt, maybe not only the dumbest player, but also the suckiest in these series. Good job, my dude. You're fighting with Ty Cobb instead of preventing base runners from moving along. Very young pitcher of the Pirates, Babe Adams, is the star of the series. 3 victories of the 4 for the Pirates, including a shutout in the final game. 6 hits allowed in each game. That seems to be as many as he's going to give you per 9 innings. Babe Adams surprises everyone, including himself. He didn't know he was going to start the series until the day before Game 1. Pirates manager Fred Clark also providing some excitement with a couple home runs in the series, which set the tone for a couple of their comebacks. Honus Wagner running wild in the series. He has a 3-hit, 3 stolen base, 2 RBI game in Game 3. I mean, the Tigers' George Mullen with a shutout in Game 4. The first one that kind of seems evenly matched, like the Tigers have some competition. The Pirates are in for a matchup, but just whenever that young pitcher comes out there, he looks like a pimp too. That guy looks so cool. The Tigers get shut down. We have a definite MVP in this one. First back and forth one. Pretty cool. 1909. This is the first 6 World Series. I wish there was one in 1904 so that I could rank that one last, but I can't, so I'll just complain about it. Well, I can't wait for there to be more World Series. I guess I have to review the next dead ball ones, and that will be 10, and then maybe I'll do another video like this. I'm very excited about reviewing dead ball baseball. I like it a lot. This is fun to me. This is fun for me to do. I love spitballs, and I love fielder's choices, and I love pitchers pitching 200 pitches per game. I think that's really cool. Well, so now you know what the good World Series of the 1900s were and what the bad ones were. So don't watch the bad ones and watch the good ones. I don't know. I found out a way to review them. You can too. I hope the Tigers stop losing World Series.